So, you may know these two as Timmy's magical godparents, but these guys have been around a whole 10,000 plus years before Timmy Turner was even born. Therefore, there's a whole lot we need to unpack, such as how they came to be, how they met, and who their godchildren were before they met Timmy. Hi, I'm Lydia, your fairy godtuber. So you've been requesting it, and I'm here to grant your wish. This is the complete timeline of Cosmo and Wanda. Cosmo's childhood. Cosmo Julius was born as the second child to Mama and Papa Cosmo, with their first being Schnosmo Cosmo, a fairy with a long schnoz and an even longer history with crime as a con man. Their dad only appears once, in season 3's This Is Your Wish, where baby Cosmo turns him into a fly. But we don't know what happens to him after this, but since fairies are immortal, I think it's safe to say that he's somewhere out there buzzing around. Meanwhile, Mama Cosmo has always been terrified of losing her baby boy, and seeing as he was never the brightest wand in the drawer, she has good reason to be overprotective.
I am not a mama's boy!
Yes, you are!
After the fly incident, baby Cosmo turned Jorgen van Strangle into a bomb that caused severe damage to all of Fairy World. So after that, the Supreme Fairy Council decided that fairies would no longer be able to have their own fairy babies anymore. Later on, we could see that Cosmo's childhood was just as chaotic, with every attempt of performing magic at school ending with a big disaster, usually in the form of a three-headed dragon called Snowball. Therefore, Cosmo was sent to the Fairy Academy when enough was enough.
I don't want to go! Mommy!
His clumsy catastrophes continued at the Academy, causing the eruption of Pompeii and sinking Atlantis. But in spite of all this, Cosmo still graduated from the Fairy Academy barely and officially became a fairy. All of this backstory was revealed in the first 3 seasons of the series, which are personally my absolute favourite. And what I love about making these videos is going back and revisiting these shows from my childhood. But sometimes it can be very hard to actually find these shows to watch them legally and safely. And someone did tell me that the first 3 seasons are available on the US Netflix, but being in the UK, that didn't really help me. But luckily, that's no longer a problem with today's sponsor, NordVPN. So right here is a screen recording of my phone, and as you can see, I don't have the Fairly Oddparents on my UK Netflix account. So all I have to do is go onto the NordVPN app, switch to the USA server, and then just log back into Netflix, and up comes the Fairly Oddparents. Just like that. And aside from unlocking content all around the world, it also protects you online from blocking malware and intrusive tracking. And what's really great is that with just 1 subscription, you can use it on up to 6 devices. So I have it on mine and my husband's phones, as well as both our PCs. So if you want to try it yourself, then just go to nordvpn.com/timelines to get a 2-year plan with an exclusive deal plus 1 month completely free. And is also risk-free too with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. So thank you so much to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Wanda's childhood. Like Cosmo, the status of Wanda's parents is ambiguous, seeing as her mother didn't appear in the entire series, but was at least referenced.
Mom always liked you best! Wait, I remember now. They hate each other!
Wanda Venus Fairywinkle is actually a twin sister to Blonda, who went on to become an actress and star in the fairy soap opera All My Biceps. Wanda and Blonda's father is none other than Big Daddy, the head of the garbage company business with his brothers Piero and Carmine Fairywinkle. And the Fairywinkle family like to take out the trash in more ways than one, as one of the most powerful families in Fairy World. In season 5's Big Wanda, we get to see her run the family business after Big Daddy is kidnapped. Now in charge, she adds her own feminine touch with fusions of pink and lace doilies, all to spruce up the business. But it turns out that her dad and his pillow Mr. Nene were just hiding out at Mama Cosmo's to avoid Cosmo the entire time.
We both can't stand who our children married.
I guess that neither of them liking their child's significant other must have formed quite the bond between them. Before Cosmo, Wanda was in a relationship with the irresistible fairy Juandissimo Magnifico before she presumably broke up with him, and Hunky Magnifico was fully aware of just how sexy he is. He will never pass up the opportunity to rip off his shirt and show off those remarkably detailed abs, and as sexy as Juandissimo was, you could imagine why Wanda would leave him for being so self-absorbed, and why she'd become more attracted to the naive but good-hearted Cosmo. How they met. In the season 4 finale and TV special Schools Out the Musical, we finally found out how Cosmo and Wanda met. In the musical segment, we see Cosmo met Wanda while serving her at the Fairy World Diner, and the two were instantly smitten with one another, and it's impressive that she was still charmed by him because he did plenty to sabotage their budding romance, whether that would be driving their car over a cliff at Makeout Point or being distracted by a butterfly while letting her wheelchair fall down a hill. And even though Wanda often found herself in danger thanks to Cosmo, they couldn't help but feel destined together. And eventually the two got married, with Cosmo writing the words "I do" on his arm to remember. Their life before Timmy Turner. Since Cosmo and Wanda have been married for almost 10,000 years, it makes sense why they had plenty of godkids before Timmy, one of which was in the 70s with the name Billy Gates. I wonder what happened to that guy.
Oh, that Billy Gates with his crazy ideas!
It's likely that Cosmo and Wanda were assigned to look after Billy after their previous godson accidentally revealed their identities on March 15th, 1972. And that kid was none other than Denzel Crocker, the same Crocker who'd become Timmy's fairy-obsessed teacher.
Why doesn't my tracking device ever find me? A fairy godparent!
In season 3, Timmy was surprised to discover that Cosmo and Wanda were his mean teacher's fairies back when he was his age, and Wanda and Cosmo were equally as surprised, having absolutely no memory of it. At the time, the groovy pair of magical hippies helped Crocker become a local hero in Dimsdale, but in typical Timmy fashion, he'd go and mess everything up. And when the entire town came together to celebrate Crocker, Cosmo dumbly turned on the microphone speakers just in time for Timmy to reveal Crocker's fairy secret.
If you're not careful, this will be the day when everybody realizes that you have fairy godparents!
And Cosmo would make it even worse by magically transforming in front of everyone. So as a result of breaking the rules, Jorgen arrived to take Crocker's fairies away and erase his memory. And at the same time, both Cosmo and Wanda accidentally erased their own memories too.
Who's that kid?
One more bit of information to add in here before we move on is that it was revealed in season 9 that when they were Crocker's fairy godparents, Cosmo and Wanda also had a magical dog called Sparky.
Okay, I know Cosmo and Wanda used to be Mr. Crocker's fairies, but Sparky was his dog too?
Meeting Timmy. Following Denzel Crocker and Billy Gates, Cosmo and Wanda's next known godson was Timmy Turner. Their journey began in the late 90s with the Oh Yeah cartoon shorts, and what's so charming about the Oh Yeah cartoons era was Cosmo and Wanda's relationship, and just how much they were into each other, like a newlywed married couple.
You always were great with dessert.
And what's also interesting in these shorts is how competent and smart and very charming Cosmo is.
This magnetic charm I have is really a curse.
The first episode showed Wanda and Cosmo being assigned to Timmy by the power of a magic 9-ball, and at this time he was a miserable 10-year-old boy constantly left in the care of a cruel babysitter called Vicky. And with all the power in the world, he of course immediately uses it to torment his babysitter. And with his parents pretty much out of the house all day every day, Wanda and Cosmo basically become his surrogate parents. They teach him life lessons and always act as his moral compass. Cosmo and Wanda's marriage. In the main series, the first episode to focus on Cosmo and Wanda's relationship was season 1's A Partnership, and it's here where the couple celebrate their almost 10,000 year anniversary. And for the occasion, Cosmo redesigns Timmy's entire room into styrofoam because he thinks that the 9,985th year means the styrofoam anniversary. And when Wanda arrives, she's as angry as hell and appears to have completely forgotten about their special day. This upsets Cosmo so much that he flees home to his mummy. But as it turns out, Wanda did remember, and that it was actually the false anger anniversary. When Cosmo returns home, we find out that he never told his mum about his marriage to Wanda, and she thought her son was simply out getting milk the entire time. And even though Cosmo explicitly tells her about the marriage, his mother is in denial, with her then trying to make him forget about her by introducing him to two smoking hot fairies. And when Wanda arrives, they get into a big old fight and start flinging insults.
Hey! You made me make a poopy!
And out of anyone, it's Timmy who diffuses the situation. He claims that Cosmo would always pick Wanda, so Mama takes him up on this deal and puts Wanda and the two fairies up for Cosmo's hand in the fairy dating game. Despite Mama Cosmo's attempts to bribe the host Cupid, it backfires and Timmy takes over. He helps the pair get back together again by reminding them of the love they share, and this of course enrages Mama Cosmo. And it turns out that the reason why she hates Wanda isn't anything personal, she just can't stand the thought of anyone taking her poor baby Cosmo away.
It's not Wanda. I dislike anybody who took my Cosmo Lulu away.
And it has to be said that this is one of the better episodes showing why Cosmo and Wanda make such a great couple. But it seems that they hadn't suffered the last of Mama Cosmo's wrath with her brand new plan in Season 3's This Is Your Wish. Here she applies for her son to be on another TV show, a This Is Your Life parody. However, his mother's motivation for the TV special is to have the fairy audience vote to force him out of the wish-granting business and move back home with his mummy. Wanda then takes the stage to try and sway the audience into believing that her husband isn't an incompetent fairy. And when that doesn't work, Timmy tries to show them the good side of Cosmo. And while the clips don't show him being good at his job, they are pretty funny.
I'm keeping them.
But what really saved Cosmo was Timmy informing the audience that if Cosmo stays, all the fairy world has to deal with his dangerous antics again. So with a 499-1 majority, Cosmo got to stay with Wanda and Timmy. It's around this time that Cosmo and Wanda's once sweet relationship began to deteriorate, with the show's writers making Cosmo somehow even more stupid and Wanda more naggy. And although they occasionally bickered before, you could still tell that they loved each other. But now it seemed that they really hated each other. You see, Wanda and Cosmo had now become flanderized, a typical process for many characters in long-running TV shows, with Cosmo's idiocy being dialed up to 11. Their growing family. When I first started my Fairly Oddparents timeline series, one of the first videos I watched for research was Nintendo's 2-hour-long retrospectives, and it's here where he breaks down each season, going into what he liked and what he didn't. So when I started work on this one, I reached out to him to see if he'd like to break down the introduction of Wanda and Cosmo's baby, and luckily he said yes. So take it away, Nick.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Lydia. It's pretty distracting to suddenly introduce me into the video after the viewers have spent most of it getting to know another host, isn't it? That makes me the perfect candidate to discuss the arrival of Cosmo and Wanda's baby, Poof. As Lydia already explained, fairy babies were forbidden after Cosmo was born, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense considering that there are fairies who look visibly younger than Cosmo, although this is a case where a continuity error could be explained by a wizard did it.
I see, alright, yes. But in episode AG4...
Wizard.
For Clavin out.
In Fairly Odd Baby, Timmy recognizes just how much Cosmo and Wanda want to be parents. He finds a way to help by wishing for them to have a baby, a rule that isn't explicitly stated in the rules. And to add another layer to this story, it's actually Cosmo who carried the baby, because in fairy world, it's of course the father who gives birth. But once ready to, pop, Cosmo couldn't handle the giving birth bit. So solving yet another problem, Timmy just wishes for the baby to be born. And just like that, Cosmo and Wanda have their own fairy baby, who they came to name Poof. Unfortunately, shortly after Poof's birth, he was kidnapped by the Pixies and Anti-Fairies due to his incredible powers. But Wanda now had an incredible power herself, maternal instinct. She managed to track the villains down to Anti-Fairy World, and along with Cosmo, Timmy, and Jorgen, they rescue Poof. and he remained safely in their care for a long time. You see, fairies take a lot longer to age than humans, giving Poof a long while before he develops from a fairy baby into a fairy kid. Now, I'm fully aware that Poof himself was and still is a widely hated character. Whoever's editing this will probably have an easy time finding B-roll of Poof just floating in the background, typically adding little to Timmy, Cosmo, and Wanda's solid dynamic when he wasn't written out of episodes. But I do enjoy Poof, not so much for the character himself, but the effect he had on everyone surrounding him. He challenged Timmy to be more responsible and reminded viewers of how much Cosmo and Wanda love each other. At the time, I also think the Fairly Oddparents made a strong effort to sell him as an integral part of the series to viewers. Poof was the only new main cast member to be added into the intro, any of the heavily advertised specials, the live-action movies, or appear in promotional artwork on Paramount+. But if you want to hear my thoughts on the rest of the series for a measly 138 minutes and counting, check out the thought retrospectives over on my channel.
Adopting a new godchild. Due to a shortage of fairies in season 10, Cosmo and Wanda were given double duty when Jorgen assigned them to Chloe, meaning that they now had to split their time between their two children. Yeah, we hate her already.
I'm a monster!
And unfortunately for us, Cosmo and Wanda's journey in the main animated series came to an anticlimactic end with the last episode of the 10th season, which aired in 2017. But in 2022, we got the sequel series, The Fairly Oddparents, Fairly Odder, where Cosmo and Wanda become the fairy godparents to Timmy's niece Viv Turner. And yeah, it's as terrible as it looks. Now, I don't personally count this one as canon because, well, it sucks. But I want to know if you've seen it, and if you have, do let me know in the comments. The future of Cosmo and Wanda. As I mentioned in the Timmy timeline video, if there's one point in the Fairly Oddparents that would have served as the perfect series finale, it's season 4's Channel Chasers. Throughout Timmy's journey through different TV channels, Cosmo and Wanda have to remind him that one day he'll have to say goodbye to them when he finally grows up. After preventing Vicky from taking over the world with the magic remote by briefly aging himself up and nearly losing his godparents, Timmy completes his journey and is prepared for life after Cosmo and Wanda. However, since he forgets about his fairies in the future, adult Timmy doesn't learn from his parents' mistakes, having an evil robot modelled after Icky Vicky to look after his kids. So who's coming to help out Tommy and Tammy? Well, none other than Cosmo and Wanda.
Like father, like son. Tell me about it.
And so that comes to the end of the video and a nice little circle for their life. So do let me know what timeline you'd like to see next, and it can literally be from any TV show you'd like. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.